everyone, and welcome to Tell Me More Radio with Tom Shadyac. My name is Jazmine Houston, and I'm your host for tonight. We have a few amazing people in here tonight. Would y'all like to say hey?
Hey, how y'all doing?
It's Chris.
Coming back again.
Hey, I'm Brittany.
Hey, Brittany.
And I'm here as always. This is Brooke.
What's up, Brooke? Alright, guys, I'm super excited today because I have something that I've been wanting to do for a while, so I guess we're going to start doing that tonight. So if you guys would like to join the conversation, you could call us at 901-260-5926. Alright, y'all, so let's get started. So, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but like another guy got shot by the police like a couple of days ago. And I don't know, I just feel like a lot of people are becoming desensitized to it because like during the first couple shootings, like Philando Castile and all those, a lot of the people were posting on social media, and it was just like at least 2 or 3 days where my timeline was flooded with these images and people being outraged. But like for the most recent one, a lot of people didn't care. And so that was interesting to me because it made me think, like, are these becoming so like popular or happening so often that we was like, oh, just another guy, it's just another day. And so I just thought that it was interesting to bring this up because I'm really interested in just like media itself. And so I was just on the internet and I came across a quote, and it said, if you tell a big enough lie and tell it frequently enough, it will be believed. And do any of y'all know where that came from?
No.
It's probably not a good person to know where it came from, but it came from Adolf Hitler. And so he was talking about that in regards to controlling people. And so I just wanted to touch on media because that is really important. And for some reason, I'm thinking that the reason we're seeing these images is more than maybe what we see that meets eye, So do you guys want to say anything about that? Because I believe that it's just like a distraction from other things such as problems that are prevalent. And for instance, just like the people at Standing Rock, like we don't hear about that anymore because it goes against the motives of some people who want the process to proceed. And so I just wanted to kind of throw a warning out there about what you see in the media because you can't always believe it. And it just goes back to the Adolf Hitler thing. When you keep seeing these images frequently, you start to believe it. And I think that it's distracting us, these shootings and all the negativity in the media, from seeing that there are actually like a lot of positive things going on. I think that the racial tension is actually decreasing, as surprising as it may seem, because the media will tell you that it's different. They're pushing more of like Black people have this anti-police agenda with the Black Lives Matters and things of that nature. And I don't think that's true. I mean, there may be like some racial tension between people of older generations, but I think that people my age, we really aren't interested in that anymore because, we just want to do what we want to do, live life, and enjoy freedom like everyone else should. And so I think that is just really important for us to understand why we're having these problems more than trying to figure out like the solutions just at this moment. Because when I first started doing these shows, I started off trying to figure out the solutions, but we probably should have started with trying to identify the problems. So that's what I want to talk about tonight, just identifying the problems that are prevalent in our communities that we would like to fix and see change so that we can try to come up with some solutions. Because if we don't identify the problems, then we won't know what we're trying to fight against, So if you would like to join the conversation, you could do so by calling us at 901-260-5926. So would any of you guys like to jump in and tell us what y'all like to see change about y'all community?
Well, Jazz, what you said about the recent shooting, I think most people don't really know about this shooting because of the presidential debate that was going on, I think, the same night or the night after. So not much attention was drawn to the man with epilepsy that was shot in California. So if anybody doesn't know about it, the man's sister called the police to help him because he was having problems and they couldn't get it under control. So when they got there, they said the man was acting erratically, but he was really having a seizure as they were talking to him. And instead of, trying to get him to calm down, the first instinct was to shoot him.
So I just had a question, like if the lady called to say that he was having like seizures or something, why would they send the police instead of like paramedics or someone who could help him medically?
Okay, but again, isn't that what you're talking about, though? This one negative situation, it's distracting us from progress that might be happening? Is that what you were trying to say?
No, I think that is a part of the distraction, but it is an issue that we need to address as well because it's reoccurring a lot. So as much as I would like to focus on other issues, I feel like this is one that needs attention as well.
We can't progress without, knowing what's going on. I know you touched on the media and this is a distraction, but if it's not really a distraction, it's showing us what's really going on, but they try to hide it with other things that go on in the media. Like the TV shows we watch, the reality shows, everything that comes on is the same time as the presidential debate, which is something everybody should have watched. So yeah, you're right. Certain distractions they do give us so we can take our eyes off the real thing. We can't believe everything. You're definitely right about that. So I don't know how to approach the question that you asked. So.
Well, it doesn't even have to be about like the shootings because we know it's not really a new narrative. It's a popular one, but it's just been happening in different forms. It's just like a new form of.
But we are desensitized to a lot of things. School shootings. Recently, a elementary school, a gunman opened fire. So and no one said anything about it. Nobody was doing the posting or the prayers like Sandy Hook Elementary School not too many years ago. So we're very desensitized, and that's not a good thing because we just let things happen without saying anything, and they're just going to continue to happen until somebody speaks up. Like, what are we going to do now?
One thing that I think is really important is just instead of trying, well, it's not the most important right now necessarily, but they say that change starts from within, and I know that is true because it's happened and it worked for me, but at the same time it's kind of scary for us to think that all of our problems will immediately change, like immediately, just because a few people decide to go on like an inner journey. But I think at the same time that if we try to apply that internal change within our own communities first, that we could get some change that way. So instead of what I want to do, ultimately, I don't know if it's too ambitious, but I want to change the world because I know that it could be a better place. But at the same time, it might be unrealistic or seem to be like a fantasy. So instead of thinking so broad, I tried to narrow it down to just change in Memphis. And then I said, okay, well, I could narrow it down even more and try to figure out how to change the communities that I interact with. So that's what I want to talk about today. Just
absolutely,
what problems can we change within our communities? So,
well, Jazz, I think you've already started what you want to do. No, to change the world is not unrealistic. It's very realistic. And what you're saying, what you're doing with this radio show, when you bring people together to talk about certain issues, that's a start. It's somebody, you being that somebody, finally saying it's a problem. What can I do to bring the problem out, to make people aware, and how can I bring other people? Because one person can't do it by themselves. So the constant bringing people back every week to talk about different problems is the root, and we should be trying to bring other people too. So that's where it starts. Right. And you've already started.
Well, that's why we get together on this show every night. And last night's show, we talked about One Family Memphis, which is the nonprofit that we're starting here. We have an event. I plugged it a lot last night, but for those of you guys who weren't listening or didn't get to tune in, St. Jude is sponsoring an event here this weekend at 2 p.m. on Saturday. We're really excited, and it's, Jazmine, it's exactly what you're talking about. It's starting to make that change in your community. So it's getting a group of people together. We're all going to sit down and have a free meal together here at 2 p.m. for free, sponsored by St. Jude.
For $99.
And it's we're located right across from the Stax Museum. There are going to be so many people outside. You won't be able to miss us. And we really want to see people come out to the community so we can continue conversations like the ones that we have here on Tell Me More.
Okay. So is it open to anybody?
Anybody.
All right. So if y'all want to come, y'all heard it.
Come hungry.
It's free. Y'all, it is free. All right. So I guess I'll go ahead and kind of start the conversation just by pointing out problems that I see. So the biggest thing is just there's no sign of unity. I mean, it's a lot of people who provide for their families and that's it, but it's just like immediate family. But if you call your cousin, oh, I hope they're doing fine, you really don't know about them. So we don't really have a family structure. And I just believe that that's really important when you're trying to change like a community, because if you don't have a strong foundation within your family, then you can't even apply those same concepts to other people because you don't recognize them as your family. And then, do y'all want to chime in on that before I go to the next one? Anybody really?
Yeah. I can't speak for others, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't have to stay in contact with somebody in order for me to, like, whenever they call me or need me, I'll be there. But it's just like, I don't have to stay in contact with them in order for them to know that I'll be there whenever they need me.
Well, I understand that too, because I'm the same way. Like, I don't call everybody like I should, but they know if they needed me and it's something that I could provide, then I'm there for them. But I'm just saying, like, the overall situation, nobody really cares about anybody anymore. It's all just, I got to provide for me and mine, bless you. But I think that that's really a big problem, because if we're just so focused on our families in our own business, we kind of become excluded to caring about other people. But at the same time, it's like I can't really blame people for having to just be concerned about their own families, because it's hard out here. So it's like, as much as some people may actually want to help others, it might not be realistic. And so that just says something about the conditions that people are living in, to where they are unable to make these connections and connect with people on personal levels because they aren't able to. Like, they gotta go to work.
Do you want to help other people, Jazmine?
Of course, that's why I'm doing the show.
Yeah, it's something that's important to you. I know. So I mean, not everybody listens every night. They might not know this about you, but you're a very, very compassionate person. But a lot of the time, you can say kind things about other people not having time, but you're really hard on yourself not being able to devote enough time to something that you feel like you should be doing. But you're not ever doing the wrong thing. You're leading a life, that has love at the center of it, for sure. And it's hard for me to see you be so hard on yourself. And again, an extension of me, when you think you're not doing enough. Well, you don't have to be giving 100% of the time.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but that's just me. Like, I always try to make sure I strive to do my best and work towards my goals. That's just me. But I just know that there are a lot of problems. And so me giving this time and dedication to trying to continue hosting the radio show about topics of this nature is just my way of trying to get outside of myself and change things that are bigger than myself. So to
touch on the unity, I feel like we're not consistent when we do come together. We only come together when things happen. And that's our biggest issue. What are we going to do when things aren't happening? What are we going to do when things die down? Like now, nobody's doing anything. We kind of forgotten about it. So therefore, when something else happens, we have to unify again. Why not be able to just attack the problem as soon as it happens if we stay unified the entire time?
But that's just what I wanted to talk about, is how can we unify if everyone is excluded in their own little box for whatever circumstances. It's a lot of people who say that there are like people who are like down for the cause. There are people who only down for the cause when something happens. And there are people who really just don't care. So what I'm interested in is taking the people who do care, who have enough life and longevity in them to actually, persist and try to change the problem. So that's why I try to target the youth mainly, like college students, high school students, because it's like we are able to see the problems that we are having and the problems that our parents and grandparents had, and we just know it's a better way to live. And so that's what we're working towards. And so it's just like at a certain age, the people who are older, it's like they have the attitude of, man, that's just the way things are. But why do they have to be that way? So we're going to take a call. First, we're going to give McKinney, then Adrian, to see what they have in mind. But we're going to keep continuing this conversation.
Hello.
So if you... Oh, hello. Hey, McKinney.
Hey, Houston, how you doing?
Doing fine. How about yourself?
All right. That's an interesting subject today, but you're right. I was in Germany. Well, I've been to 5 countries in the military, but I noticed the German people were they're very intelligent people, you know what I mean? And it's amazing how Hitler used propaganda and to keep repeating a lie over and over and over again, and people really believe it. And they're to juxtaposition over to Trump. Now he says, you remember, everybody knew he said that President Obama didn't born in the United States, you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He kept that going on for 5 years, and the people kept on, and a lot of people still believe he did born in Hawaii. Last thing I heard, if anybody know about the United States, I think Hawaii is the 50th state, isn't it?
It is.
Last I heard.
Right. So the point is, you got to go. My daughter teaches school, and she said, "Daddy, you think women can't think critical?" I said, "I know one lady that can think critical. That's you, Houston."
Oh.
That was a great observation that you compared Hillary. Now Trump uses the same strategy, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And he puts the lie out there long enough. People, we are gullible. I mean, it's amazing. We become desensitized, like you said. And it's kind of like advertisement. You keep telling, this is the best product in the world, and so and so and so, and put them on there. And yeah, I was cured, and people will believe it, and they'll go out and buy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. So, Mr. McKinney, I have a question for you. What are some things that you would like to see change? Because I know you're older than all of us in the room right now. So what are some problems that you have experienced and, you know, other people before you experienced that you would like to see change for the younger generation?
Absolutely. So the point is, which we will agree on, that there is propaganda, right?
Yes,
propaganda
sir.
is putting falsehoods out, and people will eventually believe it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You understand that?
Yes, sir. I'm following you.
And it's a word called narcissistic. You can look it up. I think he's narcissistic, and that means he's in himself, and that egotism. He believes Trump. Everything you notice, you got Trump on it. Trump Tower, Trump Project, Trump Casino, Trump.
And
So
even when he talks
narcissistic,
about
okay?
him, it's always.
All right, take care. You're doing a good job.
All right. Thanks, McKinney. We love you.
Thanks for calling, Mr. McKinney. And I like the fact that you call me Houston. I like it. All right, so we're going to take one of our faithful callers, Miss Adrian, on air. Hello, Adrian, are you there?
Hi, how are you guys?
Hey.
Hey, Adrian.
You were talking a few minutes ago about what the problems are, and mentioned unity. And I wanted to throw something out for you as you continue this conversation on what are the problems we want to change. And that is to think about not only what the problems are, but what the root causes are. And sometimes it's difficult to separate what is a symptom of a problem and what really is the root cause. So when you start thinking about the problem is that we're not united, what causes us not to be united? And is it because of the color of our skin? And if it's the color of our skin, then why is that? And work backwards. And I think what you will find is that you will end up with something, much smaller than a problem that is as broad as what you're seeing. But if you can get down to the root causes and what starts that cycle, that is a place that you can make a very big impact and work from solving the roots of our causes or our problems. So I will just throw that out as food for thought.
All right, so I have a question for you. A lot of people believe that the problems that we have are a result of the system that we have in place. So as far as making changes to the system in which a lot of people are unable to destroy, what do you think would help us move towards unity when we have this system in place? Does that make sense?
The system only exists, and this is my opinion, because we as individuals continue to buy into the system. When people stop buying into the status quo and find ways to make positive changes, then things begin to change. And we've talked about this in other topics and in talking about Martin Luther King Jr. and some of the protests, and recently we had talked about hitting the system from an economic standpoint when during the civil rights era, businesses were boycotted in order to make a change. And if you can get enough people behind you who are willing to work toward something, and that is very different than working against something, but working towards something in a manner that is positive and constructive instead of destructive, then I think you can start making changes within the system. That system is not something that is out there. That system is something that we are part of, and we either perpetuate or we try and change.
Okay, so Adrienne, you might not have one specific example come to mind, but you're talking about the roots of problems. I'm wondering if there's a root of a problem in your life that you could see. We talk about bringing it back to the personal all the time. So was there something that was causing you a bunch of symptoms, like we've discussed, a bunch of issues in your life? You were fatigued, so you started drinking more water and realized your body needed to be hydrated. Was there ever something that you saw in your life as the root that caused a bunch of problems for you?
Yes. And at this point, I am very wrapped up in a situation like that I'm really not at a point I want to talk about broadcast out. But yeah, you peel through the layers and you start with a point that this doesn't feel right, and I think it's this, and I try this and realize no, it's not that, and keep taking steps backwards until you get to the aha moment and say, right, this is really what the problem is. Another example that kind of gets at the point with a much more tangible thing is the example of there was a factory where they were having a lot of forklift operators having accidents. And the first response was, well, if they're having accidents, then we need to train the drivers better. And they trained the drivers better, and it still didn't do it. And so they looked at the problem again and realized that the forklifts were slipping around on the floor, that it wasn't an operator error, it was something going on with the floor. So then they looked at the floor and realized, oh, there's a bunch of ball bearings on the floor. And so they swept up the ball bearings. What they didn't realize was that the ball bearings were on the floor because the box on the top shelf had a hole in it and it was leaking them. So They changed the box out. But then they realized, no, it's the roof leaking on the box that's making it damaged. So you got to fix the roof.
So we can
and if you fix the roof, you solve the problem.
All right, Adrienne. So I want to go back to what you were saying about just the system in general. So I really like what you said about we could either keep it going or we could figure out how to destroyed together. So I want to know, what do you think needs to happen? Because there are a lot of people who want this system to continue to go. So it seems that people who feel like it's out of their control seem to have no hope. So what do you think could happen to where the people who benefit from it will have a change of heart and say, hey, this doesn't work? Because it's a lot of people who benefit from it because we do live in a capitalistic society, so they don't want to destroy the system. So what are your thoughts on that?
But everybody has something that is meaningful to them. So if you are trying to change someone who is trying to hold on to something, figure out what is meaningful to them. And I think Tom had brought this up a week or so ago. If you are hitting somebody in the pocketbook for somebody who is really focused on making money, that makes a difference. So how do you impact that? But every part of the system continues because somebody is benefiting. And if you take away what that benefit is to those who have the ability to change, you can make that change. But it may not be quick. It may not be across the board. But if you start making individual choices and communicating that and shining that light, that's why we're seeing a lot of renaissances in a lot of downtowns in a lot of areas. Whereas for a period of time, 50 years ago, downtowns were thriving with mom and pop businesses. Everybody went there and everybody did business with them.
Right.
Then the big box stores came in and drove them out, and now we're seeing them come back because individuals have chosen to shop at those places instead of or in addition to some of the big boxes. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
no, it does.
I understand, and I think that economics really has a lot to do with it, and I really appreciate your aspect. But we have another caller, so we gotta let you go, Adrian.
All righty, I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
You have a nice one.
Huh? Oh, you said you have a nice one. All right, so we have Iris. We're gonna take Iris on air. Hello, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Hey, so what's on your mind?
I was just calling because yesterday on the news in Georgia, it's the specific, I'm not going to get into his name, but it's this a commissioner, a guy that sits on one of the seats in one of the counties. He didn't know that he was being secretly taped, and he made a comment because he was trying to go out and win voters. And he's a white guy, and he made a comment to another white guy, and he thought he was doing it in private. He said, because the two people that's running against him, one is black, and it's another person that's running that's black for office. He said, we let them in, we won't be able to get anywhere because, have you ever heard of any officials or anybody that's in office or government office or anybody of power that's black? Have you ever heard of them not bankrupting anything that they get their hands on or run? And he said, and we as white people have to stop them from getting in. Because, once they get in, they're going to bring all the black people in that's not qualified, and they're going to fill up all the positions. It was on the news. You can look it up.
What was his name?
I can't think of his name, but you can look on Channel 2 News, Atlanta News. You can look on Channel 5, Atlanta News. You can see
so
it. It's a big.
How did hearing something like that make you feel, Iris?
It made me feel sad. Even the people who he was talking about was disappointed, and the guy that he thought he was talking to that might have been his friend because he was white, he felt bad too. So when he first heard him talking like that to him, he didn't have a recorder. So the second time he went and saw him in an open venue, and he had his phone on his camera pointing to him, and he was trying to tell his friends, and he finally caught him on tape, so he put it in the news. It made me feel sad. I was like, man, if people like him and people, and him as well, will stop doing that in private and trying to hold on to the establishment of just letting white people in only and forget all all the other races, whether it be black, because I used to work for a Filipino doctor, and you would hear the same comments about them. You know, it's not right that white people feel like they have to hold on to something or we're going to take over. God made this planet for everybody to live on. Everybody's supposed to live, and the only difference is our skin color. And if we can all learn how to respect each other's culture and differences, and learn how to come together on a human being basis, I think we can all get along. Because when people like that, like Oprah said, the only way that racism is going to die out is when those people back in the day who still holding on to that mentality keep it going. But now people are breeding their younger children to learn about racism. I did an experiment with my children. I took them to a playground where all races of people play. But all those little children got along together. There was no racism. None of that stuff was going on. But as you get older, that stuff is inbred. You are taught to be racist. You are taught to hate someone because of their skin color.
All right, so let me ask you a question. What are some of the things that you think need to change in order for us to better our situation as far as within our own communities?
Get the preconception out your head. Get the prejudgment, the judgment of someone out your head because of their skin color on how you think they're going to be. Get the things that was taught to you from previous times out your head about racism and black people. Not all black people are bad. Not all white people are bad. All races have negative or evil people in them, as you want to say, and all races have good people in them. If we can just change how we interact with each other and learn how to respect each other regardless, I think that would start somewhere and bringing people together. Stop trying to hold on to I'm better than this one or we better. Oh, and another thing, I don't know if y'all heard about that congressman guy who said he was being interviewed by BBC, and he I guess he thought it wasn't going to be aired in America. He said the reason why black people, he was a white guy, he said the reason why black people are mad at white people is because they're more successful, because we're more successful than them. And that caused the outrage. And I'm like, well, how can you say that if you're not having an even playing field? If you're trying to keep one person down, holding your foot on their neck, so when they do rise up, it's hard for them to go anywhere. Our intention is not to take over and be better than a white man. We just want the same equal rights and the same privileges as the white man has, because back in the day, most of the black people invented a lot of these things, and white people took it from them and claimed them as their own. And that's not fair.
Iris,
so
I think a big part of it is the people you're talking about who were reporting these stories. When this man heard this hateful remark made towards African American people, you said he heard it in one instance and then asked his friend to repeat it another time when he was recording.
No. He didn't ask him to repeat it. He caught the man. He saw the man in the open venue, and he approached the man again and asked him certain questions.
Right.
And he had the camera in his pocket because nobody believed that he would say that, because he's supposed to be a politician.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He led him to repeat that information again, and I think that was really brave because he saw someone being hateful, and he said, this needs to be public information. So part of it, I think, is speaking up in situations like that. I definitely think that talking about it and exposing some of that hatred where it exists is a way to start.
In closets and behind closed doors, that's where most of it exists. And then now that we have cameras and videos, now people can put people out on Front Street and expose their inner hate and racist behavior. Because the two people that he talked about, the black people, they forgave him. They forgave him. Black people are always so quick to forgive white people when there's an injustice done to them, but it's not in reverse. It's not the same as
Iris.
with the white people. For some reason. Huh?
I believe that we shouldn't be too quick to forgive, but we have to forgive, because if you hold on to that hate long enough, then you're going to be doing the same thing that they're doing to you, and that's not what you want to do.
And that's my point.
And you're very compassionate about it.
We are not hateful people. Black people are. I'm Jazmine's mother. Y'all cut it out.
Jazmine, this your
what
mama.
what I'm saying.
Wait a minute.
Miss
What
Houston.
I'm saying is, Hamilton. But check out what I'm saying. What I'm trying to get, my point is, black people are not hateful people. We are loving people, and if white people would just take the moment to get to know us, then they would see that. They don't have anything to fear. Only reason why the black men and the people are committing all these crimes and hating is because they don't feel they feel like they can't win for losing because of the economic system.
Well, Iris, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said when the children were all playing together, it didn't matter what race. They loved each other because it's not just black people that aren't hateful. No one is born as a hateful person. No one is born spiteful or mean. That's something that we learn, and we learn that racism. So thank you for calling us. That is a really good point, and I think it's a big part in what Jazmine's talking about tonight. One of the problems that we'd like to see changed.
Right.
Did you know about this?
Love one another. Yeah, just respect each other as being a human being and just know that everybody have different cultures and just live on this planet and just respect each other. And I think we'd get along better. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
I
thanks
agree. Thanks
for
for calling.
Call, and
Okay.
I will talk to you later.
Give your mama a shout
Bye,
out.
Mom.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we will continue this conversation. If you'd like to join in, call us at 901-260-5926. We'll be right back after this.
The cops wanna kill me, this nonsense built me, and I got no place to go. They bomb my village, they call us killers, took me off their welfare, can't afford their health care. My teacher won't teach me, my master beats me, and it hurts me. I had to
All
get a
right,
boy
guys,
Papa
welcome
Jay-Z.
back to Tell Me More Radio with Tom Shadyac. I'm your host, Jazmine Houston, and we're having a pretty good little convo right now. We're talking about the things in our community that we would like to change. If you would like to join in the conversation, you can call us at 901-260-5926. So, Jeff, I'm going to pick on you since you're right there. So,
And I was late.
Yeah.
Let's get it. What's up?
So, what are some things that you would like to see in your community change?
I would say the underlining envy, because now you look at so much social media and all you hear are who's winning, whether it's light skin, dark skin, Libra, Sagittarius, whether it's tall, short, fat, skinny, it's always someone has to be on the losing end, someone has to win. Why? I never known one person that say, oh, I only have just one right. Like, you have to look just one way. It's people that likes people of all natures, so why does it matter so much as to who you put up or who you put down? Same dark skin, though.
Really? So you gonna say all that?
Okay,
Nah.
so break that down for the people listening. So you said this beautiful statement about not judging people, and then at the end you said team dark skin.
Yeah.
So that's...
See, no, I'm just saying what I belong to. That's just like saying that I'm a male, I feel like team light skin beautiful too. Team
But
red,
you're brown. Aren't you brown?
I'm a Snickers or a Twix. Like, it's like chocolate. Though it's brown, it got that little chocolate to it.
Why is it important to distinguish between different shades, though?
Because I feel like a lot of people, they don't like the skin that they're in. And it's not to say that you have to put your skin above the next skin, but, flaunt it. You're beautiful, God makes no mistakes, and he made you, so.
Well, I think that's just a part of the problem, like saying team dark skin, team light skin. It just creates more division. Like, it's already hard enough for us to, block external things we can't control. But
when I was, I'm gonna jump up in this.
Go ahead, Bridget. What's up?
Because when I was younger, I used to get teased for being too dark.
Me too.
Or, things like that. And it's like, most of the hate I got was from my own people because we do divide ourselves so much. But I had to get to the point where I embraced my own self because it was just getting to the point where I was getting depressed or why can't I look like her? why couldn't I be lighter so people could, you know, like me or not talk about me the way they were talking about me? So I feel like for us, we have to see past the color, the team light skin, team dark skin, team brown skin. You know, it's so much that divides us when it shouldn't be. We fight among ourselves it's the reason why we can't get anywhere.
Yeah, that is a big problem. And it's interesting because it's already like you got blacks, whites, Hispanics, and all these other groups, but we have subdivisions like
between ourselves.
Yeah, like that's interesting. And another thing that I think is really, really, really an issue is that we just don't have respect for one another anymore. It's just no respect at all. And I'm not sure why we don't have respect for each other. It might have something to do with the media or just something within ourselves that we have to fix. But
it's the media and the self-hate of our older generation, that what your mom was talking about when she called the things that are passed down. They're not just passed down through white people. They're also passed down through black people, because we pass down this self-hate of, oh, you're light-skinned, so, you know, you blend in with them more, so we're not going to really mess with you. Or you're too dark, you look like you're from Africa or something like that. We pass that down between ourselves, and it's self-hate for what we are. And not many people come to terms with that, so they keep it going.
Mm-hmm. And that's a very, very big issue as far as coming together, because it's like, if I don't have love for myself, how can I have love or respect for you? And if we really want to change things, if I can't see myself in you, how are we going to come together as a team, to create unity to change our problems? So it's a lot of healing that we need to do within ourselves, our community, and beyond. And that's just the only way things are going to change, because if you, Brittany, change yourself, that's cool. If I change myself, that's cool. But it's like something that's in place bigger than myself. So it's like, you can't do it alone. I mean, you could, but it's going to take longer because you're just one person. But once we could come together and have the same objectives and agenda in mind to create change, so that future generations won't have to experience the things from the past that we see in our history books, then nothing's going to change. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, I just believe that I don't believe that anybody's really against us unifying, whether you're light skinned or dark skinned. I believe that it all just depends on us just coming together and unifying with a common goal and purpose, and having that purpose and just achieving it, and not getting distracted by, these things where they say light skin and dark skin, or, look at this thing happening in the media. If we as a people just came together and sat with a common goal and focus, I believe that we could affect change.
All right, so what do you think is like the first step, the most basic step where we could start this change?
Just like I said, just unifying, being able to come together and say, this is what we want, and this is what we need to do in order to get what we want, and just like I said, unifying.
I'll say, just in addition to what he's saying, that's if you was finished.
I was finished.
I would say, and most won't think that it will be as substantial as it could be, but free school. I'll say, if school was free, because you go to school, you learn all type of interpersonal skills. You learn how to talk to people. You learn knowledge is power, So if school was free, most of the people that get rejected from school, or grades are not to par where they should be, or most of them, they just lose interest in going to school because it's so high and they're not good at it. That creates separation between the two, because it's either you educated or you uneducated. It can't be that, oh, you're educated, you just didn't go to school.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest problems that I forgot to address, was just education, because it's just like I don't have all the solutions or anything. Like, I don't know nothing. So it's just when you get to a place where you accept that you have been taught lies by like media, school teachings, and things of that nature. It's like, well, what do I really know? So it has to go to education first. And so I think that's what's really important, and that's what I'm going to start trying to do, just find different ways to go back a little bit and try to figure out why we're having these problems that we're having so that we can come up with the agendas and a single goal.
Mentorship programs as well, like the mentorship program that we're starting with One Family Memphis. So we had somebody call in and ask us to repeat the information about our event. I really feel like that's a step towards, this is something concrete we can do for our city in Memphis, is move towards unity. Come to this event on Saturday, which is going to be here outside of our radio station. It's supposed to be a beautiful day. We're right across from the Stax Museum, and we're going to have an event sponsored by St. Jude. There's going to be free food. It starts at 2 p.m., and we'd love to see everybody come out.
And it's free, y'all. I know y'all like free.
Right.
I know y'all like free. I like free.
An opinion. It's probably not what everybody's on. I don't think it's one root. It's not a one root to the problem. But I was telling my mom about what we've been talking about, and she said, "You can't really find the issue because it's one thing that's missing from all of it, and that's Jesus. If you're not religious, then you probably wouldn't understand. But when things go on, you know, it's the one part of you you always feel like you're missing something, and then when you pull Jesus into the situation, because he has nothing but pure love, and his love conquers everything. So if you don't have him in your life and you find him, and then it's like everything changes at one split moment. You don't have to figure out what the problem was, or you don't have to worry about the past because it all goes away. So, and I just wanted to, you know, throw that out there, because back in the day, our people always put God in the situation. Martin Luther King, he preached, he put him all in it, and we progressed. But the farther we've gotten away from, as a nation, we've gotten away from him, everything's just been going downhill. So I just wanted to throw that out there and have somebody think about that.
All right, guys, if you would like to join our church, the doors are open.
Always.
And we love y'all. And we love y'all.
I do have to say, you know, America isn't just a Christian nation, and there has to be room for everybody. I'm not a religious person.
Whatever your faith is, though.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a religious person at all, but I don't feel any judgment from you, and I think that's so important, and I think your faith is beautiful. And that's just as important as what I have in my life. And that's what we founded America on. So it's not necessarily people finding one specific religion, but it's about finding, a source where they can feel connected to people. You've found that through religion and through Christianity, and that's awesome. So that's what I want for everybody and for myself as well.
So, Brooke, I guess I could pick on you this time. So I'm just
Why not?
one of y'all next. All right. So what do you think are the steps? Okay. So all of us in here, except for you, are Black. So seeing all of these issues going on, what do you think could be fixed just from the outside looking in? Because it's easy for us to see things because we have to experience it. But just from your perspective, how do you feel about it?
How do I feel that the issue of racial tension could be fixed?
Just the issues in general going on in the Black community. What's your insight on it? I want to get a different perspective.
Okay. Well, I mean, a big part of why I come to the radio show every night is to talk to everyone in Memphis. And it's not just one group of people. We're lucky in Memphis to be such a racially diverse city. A lot of other places don't really see that. And when I travel, you know, a lot of other cities that I go to in the U.S. are a lot whiter, and it feels strange to me. I'm lucky to have grown up in a place that's so diverse, I think. So part of that in Memphis, I feel like you heal just by going outside and meeting your neighbors, talking to people. What I think it might be harder for people who live in cities where everybody looks the same as they do, and live in neighborhoods where everybody looks the same as they do. And no matter what your race is, if you go outside and everybody on your street is the same race as you, I think it makes it a little bit more difficult. So I guess one thing I would say is try and find people that are different from you. I try to do that. Try and look for people that don't look like you, that might not have the same experience as you, and talk to them, engage in a conversation, and you're probably going to learn something.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard
will.
because it's like, who else is going to be in like some of these communities when you don't have anywhere else to go? So that's a great perspective, but it's still trying to settle in with me right now. But before the show ends, I would like to take Father of the Earth on air. Hello, Father of the Earth, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Oh, why you do it?
Huh? What'd you say?
I said, whole wide world, why you do it?
Hello. What do you have to share with us? We're wrapping up the show.
Well, look, what I have to say, I want to know, am I included, or are you definitely included on my table of love? Because I'm not a Christian, but I'm nice, I'm respectful. I believe in obeying the law, you know what I mean, that we live in. I've got a lot of courtesy or whatever, and, you know, I'm not wicked, mean, and even want to hurt somebody or something. So,
yes, sir.
And I love them as married.
Oh, I appreciate that perspective. And, you know, there's not just one religion that we should all be seeking to find. But if there's something that resonates with you and you find to be true, then that's beautiful. So I can appreciate where you're coming from, definitely.
Well, look, I thank you for that. But I still would say everybody should resonate or gather around my religion because I'm from the Psalms. See what I mean? And I'm the Father of Earth teaching the world how to read, write, and do arithmetic. I don't think nobody want to get that back. You know you love that. You like it.
All right. Well, I'm all about some education. You call us back, okay? We're going to go ahead and wrap up the show now.
All right. See you in the future.
All
right. Have a nice day.
All right, Father of the Earth. I always love when you call. You're very, very funny. So I appreciate your call, and I appreciate everyone for listening and calling in, and just you guys in the room for showing up because y'all really don't have to. So I appreciate y'all. And
it's no problem.
all right, so I guess next time I'll kind of have some more of my thoughts into it and have a plan. But these are these are the conversations that I would like to have, just so we could try to come to creating some type of positive change in our world, because honestly, I don't want to live the way that my parents had to or anybody else from the past, because I know it's a much better place and I know it could be a much better world. So you guys be safe out there. Love one another.